Test. Yeah. Test, test. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Daniel Calleros, and I'm the interim city administrator for the City of Vernon. So welcome to the City of Vernon. Thank you for taking time from your day to join us to learn about careers in the public sector. We have a number of presenters today who work for the city, and they will provide you some insight about their career path that they chose to work in the public sector. Before I begin, I'd like to get a handful of members who are high school students in the 12th grade. Get an idea. All right. How about in 11th grade? Okay. It's a good crowd. How about any college students? Freshmen? No? Oh, we got a couple. Good. All right. Well, thank you, mom and dads who are also here with your kids to learn about the public sector career jobs. So today our agenda is going to be, we're going to have a quick intro on public service, careers in the public sector. We're going to talk a little bit about Vernon, and we're going to talk about the operations. And actually, the last item will be the pursuit of your passion and career. So the question is, what is a public sector? The public sector is a primary focus on providing services to a local communities, whether it involves residents or businesses. It's just like in your regular communities. I'm sure you see the services provided by law enforcement, for example, your fire departments, public works who conduct road repairs, trash pickup services, and many other operations that are done in many communities on a daily basis. These are all example of public sector opportunities that exist in many local communities, counties, states, or even at a federal level. So the question you ask yourself, why a career in the public sector, right? You would always ask, what's the difference between a public sector job and a private sector? So when preparing for a career path, you may consider opportunities in both areas, whether it's public or the private sector. While the public sector provides services to the public, the private sector, for example, focuses on interest in organizations that for profit. Starbucks is the prime example of an organization that works for great goods and also for profit. So working for the public sector is a very rewarding career, and I can tell you that. I've been here, I worked here for over 30 years, so it's a very rewarding opportunity to be a public sector employee. Public sector employees perform services that are needed by the public. So the job security it's much greater than the private sector. These type of jobs provide not only the opportunity to work with many communities, but also allows you to have a medical insurance, for example, a good benefit, and a retirement program. This type of work is actually considered, as many refer to as public servants. And the reason why they're referred to public servants is because the salaries are actually paid by taxpayers. I'm going to skip. Just give me a minute here. So today we have a guest speaker that can shed some light on a government state career. We're happy to welcome Crystal Meza from the Office of Assembly Member Santiago. Assembly Member Santiago was elected to office, and he oversees District 54, and the City of Vernon is part of that district. Crystal here as one of his staff members covers his district in Area 54. So with that, I'll let Crystal come up and share her career path
Hi, everyone. Oh my God. My name's Crystal Mesa. I am the field rep for Assemblymember Miguel Santiago's office. I cover uh, Boyle Heights primarily, Lincoln Heights, City of Montebello, City of Commerce, and City of Vernon. So I'm primarily the east side. And our district spans from Koreatown all the way here. So we have 4 cities and all of that area. The assembly member represents a little bit over 500,000 people in the state of California. So a little bit about me. I was born in Montebello, but raised my entire life in Boyle Heights, which is literally on the other side of Vernon. And I went to school there. I graduated at Roosevelt High School, if any of you guys are familiar with that area. So yeah. I never wanted to go into politics. That was not a thing for me in high school. When I was in high school, I thought politics was super, super boring. Um, that includes like law and government, and I very much was like, that's not it for me. And Roosevelt has like a law and government program. I was told join it, and I was like, no. I was a STEM. I was very nerdy. I love school. And I was pre-med. When I went to college, I did my first 2 years of college at UC Berkeley. Um, and yeah, and I went in pre-med. I was a neuroscience biology major. I really wanted to study the brain and wanted to go into research for that. So I have a degree in natural sciences. Never finished it. I left UC Berkeley because it was really, really expensive and um I'm the first one in my family to go to college and the first one to graduate. It took me 7 years to finish school. And that was mostly because uh we didn't have money. And being the first kid to go to college, you have to navigate it yourself. You have to figure out where to get your scholarships, get all of that. And I couldn't afford to live at Berkeley. So I came back. I ended up going to PCC, which is Pasadena City College. Um, Miguel Santiago, who's my boss, passed the legislation for free community college. So if you decide to go to community college, thank him for that because it's free the first 2 years. And total honesty, I loved going to community college. It's where I really found out what I really liked. I finished doing the sciences and whatnot, but I was forced to take a sociology class, and through that I figured out what I really liked, which was politics. um this was also during like 2016. The elections were coming up. It was Hillary Clinton was like, we were voting for her or not, right? First woman like possible president. So it was a lot for me, and coming back and just being like, I want to be socially active. So I kind of joined the lobby committee at school, and I ended up liking it, and I chose to go into politics. Before I worked for the assembly member, I worked at the YMCA. I was a teen programs coordinator. I used to teach digital media and technology to high schoolers and middle schoolers. And through that, I ended up getting COVID happened, kind of got furloughed. So I just kept volunteering at the Y because I was bored. And we were feeding the unsheltered, and that just the assembly member's office was very active with the Y at the time, and that's how I ended up getting connected with them. And when I was about it just so happened when I was about to graduate from college, I ended up transferring to Cal State LA. They were looking for a field rep. I didn't know what a field rep was. At the time, I also thought being a field rep is doesn't pay well. Ended up doing it, and now I've been here almost 3 years. I really love my job. I cover the community that I grew up, which is Boyle Heights. So that's cool. My job is literally wherever the assembly member can't be, I am there. Um, so Monday through Friday, he's in Sacramento making bills, being a legislator, and I am his eyes and ears in the areas that I represent. So Boyle Heights, being the area that I grew up in, has a special place in my heart. because I see all the little old ladies who remind me of my grandma or they remind me of my mom who can't speak English, and I have to be like navigating things for them. So it's a lot of that. But it's fun, it's rewarding, and I get to do things like this. I have another career day panel that happens to be at the old elementary school I went to this Friday. So those are cool stuff that I get to come back and share to my community. I have like trunk or treats coming up. I get to be I get to go to different communities, hear them out. I go to ribbon cuttings. So yeah, that's really pretty much what I do. Some of the hard stuff is the bills and legislative parts. Um, but be engaged and try out new things that you normally would have thought you would have not liked, because that's what I did, and turns out I really, really like politics. So yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Good. Okay. Thank you.
So now we're just going to go over a few more items before we get to our panel. Just going to talk about Vernon. Uh, Vernon is a business-friendly city that was founded in 1905. Mission to provide opportunities for business. It's a small knit community, 5.2 square miles, and has all the necessary resources to provide services for not only a business community, but residential. There's about 1,800 businesses in Vernon, 55,000 people work in the city. Have a small residential community of 220 in population, but it's slowly growing. So who runs the city of Vernon? So city council is elected by residents here in the city, and the council sets policy and adopts laws that govern the city. The city administrator is appointed by the council, and that individual manages department director. City attorney is also present here today. Is appointed by council. He manages all the affairs. Department directors manage department staff, and support staff actually perform all the duties at their community, whether it's business or residential. So we can now move forward to the panel of presenters today. Our first city employee who will share with her career path as a public servant. So the first one coming up is Joanna Huerta Moreno, civil engineer.
You. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanna, and I'm a civil engineer with the Water Division of the Public Utilities Department. The Public Utilities Department is a full-service utility providing customers with electricity, water, gas, and fiber. I'll start with a little bit of background on myself. I was born in Southern Los Angeles, and I've been passionate about civil engineering ever since I can remember. As a kid, building bridges, everything that had a really cool design, it always caught my eye. I also loved math and drawing. A little bit of science. Does anybody else in here like math? Oh, I got one hand. Other hand. Can I give out the candy? Give out candy? Sorry. All right. When asked what I wanted to be as an adult, I always said architect. And that was because I didn't know what an engineer was at the time. And it wasn't until college that I realized the amount of creativity that you need to be an architect. And since I loved math, I actually took an introductory course to engineering. And that's where I just that engineering was what I really, and I actually figured that out in community college. So I went to college. I started off in Pasadena City College. And then I transferred over to Cal Poly Pomona, and I was actually also the first in my family bachelor's degree. and I was also one of the many people that had to do both, go to college and work. It's not easy, but I'll say that it's definitely doable and it's definitely well worth it. So I started my career with Vernon as a drafting technician, and now I'm a registered civil engineer with. As an engineer for the utility, I work in all facets of the water division, including engineering, design, project management, planning, analysis, and budgeting. I also work with developers to construct water services for new or expanding businesses in Vernon. Who knows where we get our water from in Southern California? No? Anybody? Any guesses? No? Well, in Southern California, we get water from the ground, so we get groundwater, and we also can get imported water from Northern California. Here in Vernon, we use groundwater to supply our customers. And we recently finished construction of a new groundwater well. I'm really excited about that because that can be a once-in-a-lifetime project because they have a useful life of 50. Can anybody take a wild guess as to how deep the well is? Oh, that was a good guess. Any others? Okay, good guess. 650. Okay. Okay. So our new well is 1,150 feet deep. But there are wells that are in those ranges, except that since we're such a large utility, we do need something that can produce a little bit more. But I have candy for you guys. I'm gonna try to talk, but I don't want to hit anyone. Maybe I can actually, maybe someone can help me hand out the candy. Okay, another part of my job is working with the state on a regulatory compliance as well as with other agencies and organizations on a bigger scale that all work to ensure that the region has clean and sufficient water for everyone. In collaboration with those organizations, we even work on legislative issues. Being that California seems to be in a drought quite often, water is a very big deal here and it's never boring. The utility also employs water operators that are responsible for operating and maintaining the water supply and distribution system. So they take care of our groundwater wells, they take care of our storage tanks, our booster pumps, and our pipelines. And the operators require professional certifications issued by the state for that. And my coworker, Edwin Ochoa, will actually talk a little bit more about that later. But I do have one more question for you guys. We have a reservoir underneath the parking lot. Who wants to take a wild guess how many gallons? Go. Ooh. 11,000? How many did you say? A billion. Okay, no, that's too many. Okay, so that reservoir holds 10 million gallons. Yeah, so that parking lot. Our department works as a team in everything from extracting water through our groundwater wells, ensuring that it's potable and safe to drink, and sending it all the way to the customer's tap. And that concludes my presentation. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Joanna. And next up is Edwin Ochoa, Utilities Dispatcher.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. See Mason here, local school here in Maywood. So good evening. My name is Edwin Ochoa, and I work in the transmission and distribution department as a utilities dispatcher. My team and I ensure that businesses and residents have reliable water, gas, fiber, and electricity 24/7. It's a challenging job, but it's essential to keeping our community running smoothly. I've been with the city for almost 15 years, though my journey started in a less traditional way. I began as an administrative clerk, very entry-level job. And it's not a usual path to my current role, but I worked my way up while going to school. I have a bachelor's degree in public sector management at Cal State Northridge, and I'm just finished my MBA at Marshall School of Business at USC. Yeah, but tonight, however, I do want to focus on specific entry level job in operation. That may be you in the future. If there's interest obtained, and it doesn't necessarily require a 4-year degree, but there is focus on trade school or hands-on training. So one of the great things about working in public utilities is that you don't always need a college degree to get started. For those of you who prefer hands-on work and are thinking about trade school or community college, there are many opportunities to build great careers in these operations. So let me tell you about one of those jobs, utilities operations trainee, and that's good for those starting out, and it's an excellent entry level role. And I'll just kind of go vaguely over some background. The education requirement for that is all you need: high school diploma, and 1 year of experience in mechanical construction helps. But you could substitute it any college level. As a trainee, you'll assist with basic maintenance of electric, gas, and fiber systems. Also operate high voltage equipment. It's a hands-on role where you gain valuable skills while being trained on the job. Role is perfect for someone who enjoys working outdoors, part of it, of maintaining the essential infrastructure. One of the other things I did want to touch on that Joanna mentioned, as a utilities dispatcher, we do run the water system, so we are required to have a patient water grade 2 certification. I actually got that by taking a course at LA Trade Tech. Far from, so it was a water course and took the test. That's how I was able to qualify to run the water system. So just in closing, whether you want to start with trade school or community college, there's many opportunities in public utilities that don't require traditional 4-year degree. 4-year degree, because it does open a lot of doors. Just giving you options, but it does open a lot more doors. You'll gain real world experience. You'll work on systems and work with different to build and to build your stable and rewarding career. So, thank you for your time and happy to answer.
Thank you, Edwin. Feel free to ask questions as you're speaking. If you have any questions, ask. You're up. Next speaker up is our city clerk, Deborah Harrington.
Everyone. Future. So for those that sue government, thank you for considering it. One of the things that regarding the city clerk's office, no one really does. It's one of those departments that is vital to the functioning city. We work towards with all of the departments. We work city. We work for like my particular started when and someone look at the city. It gotta go to work for have medical. Don't have. I'm not. Well, at 19 years old, and the whole. So I worked for the park deputy city clerk, and finally I got to eligible, and so I worked for 5 cities. Special in my, I am now retired. go to that city. In our particular areas, we have varied. And I would like to go over some of the responsibilities. One of that is all of the reports that go to come to us, put them in, give them. City council reads the pack. They go to a meeting. City clerk's office after records them. The ordinance or they might be resolutions or other matters, and we put those to official legislative action. We also make, after they've been adopted, of agreements and other records. We get the pleasure of accepting service of sued. We get to get the papers and then forward them on. We do maintain updates to our city charter. Two types of cities. There's a general charter. We are a charter. So what we do is every time we adopt something relative to charter, we have to vote and they have to pass it. We also have ordinances in our municipal code. We track those. A lot of times in cities, they have commissions that they have for advisory to the city council. We are responsible for maintaining their agenda packets, their legislative history, their recruitment, and the support staff as they go through. Any legal documents that have to be published, they come through our department, and we make sure that they are published. For one instance, in the very near future, we are going to be publishing a notice calling an election. So we will have one council member that is going to be up. In our city is a little bit different than other cities. They have terms of 5 years. So every year we have an election. And so this year we will be doing that, but we have to give a lot of legal notice to the public and to the county because we'll be asking them for certain services. The other thing that we do is we are the local filing officer for the Fair Campaign Practices Commission. And so with that, anybody who runs for office, they have to file certain papers. If they're going to be a candidate, they're going to have a committee. And you'll see on TV right now, political ads, supported by the committee to, elects whoever. Or there might be propositions that you have. In our particular city, we will put together measures from time to time to ask the voters if they would like to approve something. And in order to have transparency within the city, we also have a conflict of interest code. All employees that potentially have a financial interest in what they're doing or may benefit financially from work that they might be doing have to file a statement of economic interest. And we're responsible for that. And I did mention that we are having an election, and I am the city's official election person for that responsibility. What I'd like to do beyond, the technical things that we do is I want to go over a couple of things that will enhance any career that you do. To become an effective government leader, you have to have good organizational skills, good leadership skills. You have to go into your job saying, I made a difference. You have to be a team leader to get along with others. You have to have strong problem-solving skills. You have to anticipate issues, be cool under pressure, plan, prepare, produce, and be helpful to others. Any questions?
Thank you, Deborah. From our Public Works Department, Denise Palomares. Come on up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Denise Palomares. I'm a permit technician in the Public Works Department. Uh, Public Works in the City of Vernon is one of the first interactions that the community has with the City of Vernon. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we provide outstanding service and a competitive advantage to the City of Vernon community, because it sets the tone and it attracts business to the city. So by having a great interaction with our department, investors and developers, they want to start businesses in Vernon. They want to start new developments in the city of Vernon. If you look around Vernon, you can notice changes going on in the city, and the Public Works Department is part of those changes with putting the new data centers. And if everyone remembers the Farmer John location, it's no longer there. Public Works Department is part of all of that. And some of the opportunities in the Public Works Department, we have different roles such as code enforcement officers, building inspectors. We have an engineering department as well as administrative staff. So anything that you can think of that you might be interested in, whether it's working in an office or out in the field or a combination of both, you could find a position that would fit for something you might be interested in. A lot of the positions don't require a degree. We have facilities maintenance workers, street maintenance workers that keep the city clean for the community and the businesses. We also have positions that require certification, such as building inspectors, but it is also helpful to have a degree in case you want to look for growth within the city and continue to move up within different positions. Personally, I actually did not go to university right after high school. I did attend local high schools around the community. I actually did attend Southgate High School. I went to Maywood Academy. Actually, I was in the first year that graduated for Maywood Academy. The first year of the school, it wasn't even built yet, so we were bused to Southeast. And Public Works is actually part of putting all those schools together as well. So if you look around you, you'll notice Public Works in everything. You'll notice it in the streets that you walk down. You'll notice it in your own house. It's there because of Public Works. And if you want to feel like you want to be part of something big, Public Works would be a department for you to definitely look into.
Next up is Gerard Garcia, Assistant Engineer.
Denise, you said everything I was gonna say. You took everything. I don't know what to say next, but we're gonna talk about building. So I know a couple people said there were stems. Where the STEM people at? I think there was two of you. So I'm an assistant engineer. So my passion kind of started with Legos. So when I was a kid, I was always tinkering with things, breaking them apart. So my passion kind of started there. So if you have that kind of mentality, you have that kind of passion, that's the kind of person I became, I am right now. And I'm an assistant engineer here at Public Works. I've been here for a year. My education background comes from a bachelor's degree in structural engineering from UCSD. And I received my master's degree in structural engineering from Cal State Fullerton. Well, I was in school, I participated in clubs such as the American Society of Civil Engineers and also the National Council of Structural Engineers Association. And one thing I can recommend once you're thinking about going to school, going to college, and one of the big things that helped me a lot is getting internships. That's the first thing I would recommend. As soon as you get there, try to get your internships in like as soon as you can, because those are the ones that are actually going to help you when you start work or you go out in the real world to, interact with people and any things that you need to do in the real world. So I recommend that you do that first. My responsibilities, engineering duties here in the city of Vernon is city project management, performing inspections, contract writing, drafting plans, specifications, and estimates. And so far, I've been learning a lot from other departments as well. And I enjoy working with the people in the Public Works Department and with other departments here as well. Everyone's been really friendly, and you have to also be, a public servant. So the first thing you need to think about is safety, right? So I'm kind of wearing this right now to show, like, we care about safety here at City of Vernon. So that's kind of one of the things I advocate, and I also want to make sure it's important that we always, are there for our, the public. And I will continue to be a public servant for everyone here in the city, and anything that they need, I'll always be here for them.
Thank you, Gerard. Next up is Jeanette Castellium from our health and environmental technician.
Hi, my name is Yaneka Estelum, and I work for the Health Department and Environmental Control. So basically what we do is we help keep the community safe by regulating a lot of our programs that we have. One of them is food safety. But the way I got started here at the city is I feel like it's a little bit amazing because I actually just graduated last year from UCLA 2023. So I actually started off as the human resources intern with the City of Vernon. And after 9 months, I was able to get a job with the finance department. And then I was there for 9 months. And then I went over to the Department of Health, where I am now the environmental health technician for them. So the way I actually got there was when I was in college, as soon as I became a junior, because when you're a junior, that's when cities start giving you the opportunity to intern with them. So as soon as I became a junior, I started applying for different cities. I think I sent over 100 intern applications to different cities, and I actually interned with 3 different cities. I interned with the City of Vernon. I interned with UCLA. It's not a city, but it's a government job still. And then I also interned with the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. And all of the things I learned in those 3 different internships ultimately led me to be able to get the full-time position in the finance department. And ultimately, what I learned in my internships and with the finance department led me to get me the position that I have now in the environmental health department as the environmental health technician. So I went full round, and I didn't even get my bachelor's degree in anything science related. I got my bachelor's of arts and labor studies, so the study of unions, union organizing, labor laws, and labor regulations. So I went something completely different from what I studied for, but I feel like I landed in a place that I really enjoy. I really enjoy the work. So basically, a lot of what I do do inspections sometimes, but in order to be a full-time inspector, a full registered inspector, I do have to go back to school and complete some science courses. So sometimes you're going to go for school for something and then you're going to completely go a different path. That's why I always recommend that you go and do as many internships as you can. That way you can get a feel for different things that you like, and eventually you will land somewhere that is a right fit for you. Any questions?
Information technology, Paul Flores is up. He's actually our PowerPoint presenter. So thank you, Paul.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Flores. I'm the IT analyst here for the City of Vernon. I actually started with the City of Vernon a couple of months ago. Before that, I was a network engineer for Adventist Health. I've been in the IT field for a little over 10 years. I have my bachelor's in computer science. I wouldn't say you need a bachelor's if you're going to start in the IT world. There's tons of certifications you can get. Right now, I hold a Cisco certification and a information securities certification. So if you're looking into the IT field and you're not sure if you want to commit to going to a 4-year school I would recommend getting a certification. There's tons. There's Network Plus, Security Plus. You don't have to spend the time and money in getting a bachelor's if you're not sure what you're gonna end up liking. And the great thing about being in the IT field is that there's tons of specialties. So I mentioned I was a network engineer at my previous job. I dealt with networking, which is basically making sure that things are connected to each other, making sure that you're connected to the internet and to other computers safely. Now here in my role as the IT analyst for the City of Vernon, you wouldn't believe how much IT and technology touches to make the city run. And it's kind of crazy when you actually look at it because it goes way past computers. And if you're somebody who likes problem solving and helping people, I would recommend this field because all day I'm constantly getting called saying I have a problem, and then people are very appreciative when that problem gets solved. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Finance Department, Jessica Alcaraz.
Good evening. My name is Jessica and I'm the Financial Services Administrator for the Vernon's Finance team. As a public sector finance department, our main function is to support city services and safeguard the availability of vital services for the community that we serve. So to accomplish this, we oversee the yearly citywide budget. We work with all departments in planning and provide departments with reporting tools and assistance to ensure the expenditures are within their budget and the revenues are received. We anticipate financial challenges and emergencies and determine how to manage shortfalls and fund surplus. Finance also manages citywide investments to ensure the long-term stability of our city. If you're interested in a career in finance, you might want to get a degree in finance, business, public administration, economics, business analytics, accounting, and you can also get other professional certificates, such as a certified public accountant, a certified government financial manager. So there's various positions in finance. There's a lot of entry-level positions, such as finance specialist. They're the ones that are like the front-facing staff in our department. They help businesses get business licenses so they can conduct business in our city. And there's also mid-level positions such as a payroll specialist. They ensure that everyone in the city gets paid on time and correct. There's also like the buyers and the assistant buyers. So they make sure that all of our procurement is done properly accordance to the Vernon Municipal Code and our policies. And then there's the management level positions such as mine, or also finance manager or director of finance. So a little bit of how I got here. So when I went to school, I actually wanted to be a psychologist. But then my class with the brain and learning, I was like, this is not for me. So I was working as a cashier at a dealership. I got a lot of experience in accounting. I was introduced to numbers. And I decided that that's what attracted me. That's what I was good at. So I changed my career. So like a lot of people mention, I think that work study, internships, exposure, not being afraid to change your major. What you thought you wanted to be as a kid, sometimes it's not what you envision, like when you actually do the work. So having an internship and getting that exposure is really important to figure out what you really want to do. Any questions? Yes. So for example, we offer internships here at the city, and there's internship in finance. So HR, so if you go to the city websites, you can actually look to see what type of internships are offered. You can also go to your career center. And once you're there, there's a lot of postings and publishings that are there available to you. But definitely going to like, if you don't want to travel too far, going to your city's website and you'll see the different internships. So introductory, like they would, start you off maybe filing, helping, starting off, and introducing you to the accounting world if you want to go into finance. but the websites are definitely a good place to go check. Any other questions? Yes, I agree. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. City Attorney Zena Musa will present.
Hello, everyone. We've been sitting for a little while. I'm going to break things up a little bit. So I have some lawyer jokes. Oh, what's the difference between a lawyer and an accountant? Accountants know they're boring. Sorry, Jessica. Why did the lawyer's chicken cross the road? He had an easement. For my public works guys. Public works. There you go. One more. Why do you bury lawyers 10 feet down instead of 6? Because deep down, they're really good people. All jokes aside, I love being a lawyer. A little bit about my career path. I have now been with the city for a little over 11 years. I've been practicing law for a little over 15 years. I attended USC, I think we have some fellow Trojans. On scholarship, I was a scholarship student. I was a political science and a journalism major. I went to law school at Loyola here in Los Angeles, also through scholarships and a lot of student loans. Just finished paying them off last year, so thank you. And I became the first lawyer in my family, similar to a lot of the people who've spoken today. Kind of navigating college and law school as first generation is challenging, but it's also really, really rewarding. I spent the first 5 years of my practice at a law firm that specialized in municipal litigation and mostly police defense and police liability cases. And in 2013, I was hired by the Vernon City Attorney's Office as a deputy city attorney. So pretty much everyone knows what attorneys do, but I often get asked, well, what does a city attorney do? Basically, they are the city's chief legal advisor and general counsel. It's really similar to the responsibilities of a general counsel for a private corporation. If I'm doing my job right, I view my role as a problem solver. I think you've heard a lot of that today too. So in local government, especially, being a problem solver is really key to our roles. I also try to be a risk minimizer. So you want to be able to look at a situation, figure out this is the potential risk. How do we lower that for the city? When I joined the city attorney's office, my specialty areas were litigation and, like I said, law enforcement defense and labor and employment. And through my years at the city, especially once I became city attorney, I had to develop kind of a broader knowledge and broader expertise. So I think most city attorneys still have their comfort zones where, you know, we feel like we're experts in the subject matter, but you really have to be a jack of all trades. No 2 days are the same, which I think is really interesting, but it can also be really challenging. So for example, today I reviewed agenda items for the upcoming city council meetings. I reviewed purchase contract terms. I researched state law on development and real property issues. I advised on a personnel matter. I worked on a code enforcement issue, and I Googled lawyer jokes for this presentation. So, but I do genuinely love my job. I feel really grateful that I have this opportunity to, like I said, look at challenges and look at potential problems and kind of brainstorm solutions. Not every lawyer gets to do that. A lot of times, if you're a general litigator or just a general transactional attorney, you're just inheriting whatever your client's problems are. You have a set of facts and you have an end goal, and you don't have a lot of kind of agency in being able to fashion the solution or going forward to try to make sure it doesn't happen again. When you're an in-house attorney, you really have the opportunity to kind of spot issues and work with staff, hopefully before something turns into something major. And if you do, you know, still end up in court or get a claim or have an adverse outcome, then at least you can look going forward, how do we prevent this in the future? And I think there's more opportunity to kind of be a value add, and I find that very satisfying. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about becoming a city attorney or becoming a municipal lawyer, but I did just want to leave you with a couple practical tips that are a little more general. As other people have mentioned, I think internships are really key, and I would advise just beat the rush when you're applying for your first jobs or your internships. So for example, if everyone at your school is going to be applying for work in May or June, try to get your foot in the door earlier. So you're setting yourself apart, you're building those relationships. You already have hopefully a mentor within that organization who can advocate for you when the time comes around to apply for a permanent position. That can be really helpful. And I know people, that works in the private sector as well. If you know you're going to need student loans, strongly consider a job in the public sector. I knew going into it, I was going to need financial aid, I was going to need scholarships, I was going to need loans. I think the public sector is a great option because there's a lot of grants available. There's public service loan forgiveness, where if you make 10 years of payments, the rest of your loans are forgiven, which is huge. Another practical tip is let your work speak for itself. I'm a little old school when it comes to this. I know a lot of the emphasis nowadays is personal branding, having a really fancy LinkedIn. But I think if you have a really strong work ethic and you do your job well and you put a lot of time and care into it, you don't really need to tell people you're good because it will hopefully be apparent. And last bit of practical advice when it comes to government law and government jobs, public service is public service. So I think the people who go into it for the right reasons are the ones who end up being successful. As most of us who have said up here, this is a really rewarding job and you get a lot of satisfaction out of it. We do get, a good salary and a pension, which is super rare in the United States at this point. Most people could probably turn around and make more if they went into the private sector, but I think the benefits, for me at least, far outweigh any potential, difference I could make if I went into a public or a private sector job. But people shouldn't go into government thinking they're going to, make buckets of money. Those people tend to get indicted, so don't do that. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have anything. I did. I was kind of, they call them gunners. I was a gunner. I was kind of an obnoxious, like Tracy Flick type in high school. I was class president. And I did set goals. I set pretty lofty goals for myself, but those changed. And I think my expectations changed a lot. When I was in undergrad, I thought I was going to be a journalist. I thought I was going to be a foreign correspondent. I put all of my energy towards that. And then late in my senior year, I realized, journalism is really shifting in a direction that I'm not loving. I'm deciding, law school's better. So I think every year, and especially, when you have performance evaluations when you're working, you're kind of forced to set goals. But I think that's a really important benchmark for yourself. Oh, that's always a challenge. And I'm a mom too. I have 2 young kids. It's getting a little bit easier as they're a little bit older, but being a working parent, I think, is a huge challenge in any sector. I advocate for work-life balance in a lot of the other committees that I serve on in municipal law. But I think for me, coming into every day, knowing what is a must do, what is a should do, and what is a something that can maybe, wait until the next day, and staying on task. And I really don't like to leave work for the day with a full inbox. That just gives me anxiety. But time management is a challenge for sure. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, Zaina. No more questions from anybody? Sure. No? Panel? I think for me, it's staying focused. Oh, I didn't. Could you repeat the question again? Give me the mic. I forgot about this.
Sorry if I didn't project well. So I was just asking the panelists if you can go back to your high school years. There was a lot of good advice that was already shared. But what's that one thing that if you could share to this group of girls, students, what would be your biggest advice to stay focused and not lose sight of that goal?
Well, from my experience in high school, I actually worked part-time in high school. And I think my focus was to do better, for my family. And I think education was on my radar, but I think my parents did a great job in guiding me in that direction to get a good job, do well at your job, and at the same time, make time to go to school. And I can tell you, when I started here, I did not have the education, and I actually worked full-time and then went to school. And I can tell you, if you can finish school right out of high school, please do it. Because it took me almost 15 years to finish. Working full-time with a family, and mind you, when I started here, I was an actual police officer. So I retired almost 30 years later. But I can tell you, it was a challenge to work full-time and then go to school and at the same time raise a family. So I would say, parents, focus on your kids, guide them in the right direction, keep them busy, and definitely go to school. Many jobs do not require education, but I can tell you that it opens up a lot of doors for you. So we still have one more speaker. We went last with the police officer because there's always a lot of questions. So Police Officer Teresa Flores, please come up.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So nice to see all these wonderful young ladies out here. My name is Officer Teresa Flores. I currently work for the Vernon Police Department. I want to start off by telling you a little bit about myself. So I grew up in a really, really rough neighborhood in the 1980s. I grew up in East Los Angeles. I'm a first generation Mexican American. Both of my parents only speak Spanish, no lick of English. I was the first generation to speak English and Spanish growing up. So in the area that I lived in, where it was really rough, a lot of the parents who only spoke Spanish and were immigrants of Mexico, they were so afraid of cops. They were so afraid to talk to like a police officer. And me being able to speak English, I was excited every time I would see them. And every time something bad happened or they're chasing a bad guy, I'd be like, hey, I know where they're going. But a lot of the parents who spoke only Spanish would get scared. So they would go back in, lock the doors. But I'd be like, hey, the bad guy went that way. So I went to school. I went to public high school, graduated from Sure High School in the city of Montebello. And right after high school, I went to a community college. So I don't know if you guys know where Rio Hondo is, Rio Hondo Community College. I started off there and I got my AS degree in criminal justice. And the same thing as being a first generation Hispanic, Mexican American, I also went to school full time and I also worked full time. And that was to help out my parents. My dad was the only one working. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So in order to help them out, I went to school full time, but I also worked full time in order to contribute to the house. Before becoming a police officer, I actually got a job for the school district in Montebello working with special needs children. It was super, super rewarding working with all the little special needs children, all the way kids who had Down syndrome, all the way kids who had autism. So it was really nice, but I knew that I wanted to do more. I still had aspirations of wanting to be a police officer. So finally, I got the opportunity to do it. I took a break from my job and I put myself through the Rio Hondo Police Academy. They actually have their own police academy there. I went through 6 months of training, and I was actually very, very grateful 6 days before graduating. And walking down that aisle, the Vernon Police Department, they gave me an opportunity and they hired me. So I've been here ever since. I've been here now for about almost 5 years now. And now to the cool part. So you see all in the news how you guys see how the officers chase after stolen cars or they chase after the bad people. Well, guess what? We get to do all that fun stuff. We get to do all that. Not exactly, they don't actually like run away from us in this city, but they actually stop. And we get to definitely chase after the bad guys. So if any of you ladies think that, hey, cops, that's police officers are just meant for men, ladies, I get to do all the fun stuff. Kicking down doors, I get to kick down doors. I chase after bad guys. Oh yeah, I get to chase after bad guys. But I also get to do a lot of the fun stuff, or actually the most rewarding part for me that sometimes the news won't show. Our police department has what's called a homeless outreach program. So I'm part of that homeless outreach program. And once, I believe twice or 3 times a week, I get to go out to the community. I get to go out to the city of Vernon and I get to do outreach. I get to help out homeless people. So if they need shelter, if they need food, just basic, if they need basic necessities like clothes, I have the ability to be able to connect them to shelters. I have the ability to connect them to, say if they addicted to drugs. I have the ability, as well as our police department has the ability to connect them to a place where they can get the help that they need. And that's one of the really, really good rewarding parts that I get to do. Also now I'm a field training officer. So which means I have now the opportunity to train all the new and upcoming officers who get hired within the city. So it's just really nice. Now that I'm here, I'm able to give back, and I'm able to give back to the community. So if anyone's wondering now how to become a police officer, you don't need a college degree. However, it is super important if you want to advance, whether if you want to be a sergeant or if you want to be a lieutenant or captain, definitely having a bachelor's degree, even getting your master's degree is super important. But I would really, really recommend you to go to school, get your education, because like how the city manager said, it is a lot harder. It is a lot harder going to school and then working full time as well. You have 2 options of becoming a police officer. One, just like how I did, I put myself through, I paid to go through the police academy and then get hired. And then the other option is you apply with a police department and you go through their process. And it could be a 6-month process where you go through what's called a background investigation. They interview your family. They interview people who you previously worked with. And then several other steps after that. But if you do get hired by a police department, they actually pay you to go to the academy, so which is really great. You get to go and learn, but aside from getting to learn, you also get paid while you go and learn. Once you do that, after graduating, you would come and you would begin working for the police department. So for example, here for the city of Vernon, I would probably get you as what we would call a first phase training, which is 5 weeks. So I would train you 5 weeks and I would teach you like the basic stuff. From there, you would go for another 5 weeks with another training officer and you'll start learning more and more about how to conduct traffic stops, how to conduct really good investigations, how to interview either like a victim or how to interview like a suspect. And then your last phase, which is another 5 weeks, would be you now being able to have the ability to go out there and perform as a police officer by yourself. So if you're wondering if I drive with a partner, I do not drive with a partner. So I'm solo. I go out there and every day is different. It's a lot of fun. For example, last week I had the opportunity to help someone find a shelter and direct them in. We have some local shelters here. We also, in our city, in the city of Vernon, we have a nonprofit organization where they give food. So I'm able to connect, reach out to them, and give a family food, basic necessities that they need. When was it? Yesterday, I was able to help somebody with a traffic accident. Also, every day is different. And then maybe 2 hours later, I did a traffic stop and there was a gentleman who was wanted by the U.S. Marshals. Yeah, and I had to take him to jail. So every day is a little bit different, but I do have to say it is a lot of fun. So if any of you ladies or gentlemen have any aspirations of becoming a police officer, just know, like for you ladies, you can still paint your nails, still look pretty with your nails. You don't have to wear your hair like this all the time. You can wear them in like a cute little bun. Believe it or not, in our police department also, we are able to, for us females, we can wear our hair in a ponytail. It just can't go below our patch. I can't unfortunately do that because mine is below my waist. So it's either that or a cute little high bun. And for our gentlemen, for our guys, something new this year, you guys are able to have a nice short beard, which is cool. And that's just pretty much everything in a nutshell and for to become a police officer. Do we have any questions? Yes. First year of salary. Actually, I gotta say it's not bad. So your first year of salary, I would say about 90,000. Yeah, 90,000. That's without overtime, or we also have like special details. Also, our police department has some really good also opportunities. You get to be a detective after working on patrol for a few years, and that's a lot of fun. You get to investigate a lot of crimes. You also, something coming up new this year, we're going to have drones. So you'll be able to operate a drone when you're searching a building. We also have up and coming, we're going to have some motor officers. So you'll be able to drive a motorcycle while you're out on patrol. We're going to have that in the future. But really great outside opportunities. You can also work like I do with the homeless as a homeless liaison officer. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah. So she asked if being a police officer, if it could be damaging to your mental health. And I would have to say it's really important to have a good set of how could you say, awareness, a good sense of awareness. If you know that when you come here, you are going to experience bad stuff, you're going to see bad stuff, you're going to have to help people, especially for traffic accidents, which are really bad, and they're trapped inside. You're going to have to help take them out or keep the scene safe, keep yourself safe. At that same time, like 3 hours later, you're going to have to go run and chase a bad guy who just kind of robbed somebody. So it's important to, once you're done and you leave at the end of the day, is you leave whatever happened here at work and you leave it at home. So being conscious and being aware of that, does that affect you as a police officer? Absolutely. But what's great about, for example, our police department is our police department is very good about our wellness, our mental health wellness. So for example, downstairs in our police station, we have what's called a Zen room. It's super awesome. And each officer gets at least 30 minutes during their shift. And you're able to go downstairs, take off your belt. Because believe it or not, this belt is super, super heavy. So if you ever see us like pulling up our belt, it's because it's pretty heavy. But we're able to go downstairs. We're able to take off our belt and we're able to just relax in a chair that, vibrates, gives you the massage, and just relax and wind down for 30 minutes a day. Also, we have a therapy dog that comes around at least once every other week during the day shift, because we have several shifts. So we have one in the daytime, and then sometimes the therapy dog will come at night, and it's really nice. Gives you the opportunity to just wind down, kind of feel like you're human, because we're all human. And so aside from that, we have mentors that we can go and reach out to during our shift. So, and those people are special people that they know that when you go out and talk to them, it's just that conversation is just going to be between you, and that person. So yeah, so we it does come with the job, but if you're conscious and you're aware of it and you do take those steps, it's I'm telling you, this is a great and it's a very, very fun job because every day is completely different. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Our city currently does not have an Explorer program, but we do have our nearby agencies. I believe the City of Bell. So if any of you, ladies and gentlemen, are locals, I believe the City of Bell might have an Explorer program. Not sure if I would urge you to go online and see about the nearby agencies. I do also know that the California Highway Patrol, they also have an Explorer program, and you're allowed to be in that Explorer program, I believe, till you're about 20 years old. And you get to experience a lot of the things that we get to experience. So we'll take you on a ride along. But if something like an emergency happens, we make sure that you stay inside the car. But as far as being able to go out in the field and watch us perform and watch us know how to do a traffic stop, how to interview a victim, how to interview suspects. And that's the really cool part. You get them to kind of fess up to their crimes when you're able to talk to them. But yeah, unfortunately, right now at the moment, our department, because it is pretty small, we don't have an Explorer program, but there are some out there. And I would really encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, that if this is something that interests you, definitely look into the Explorer program. At this age, you're able to, I believe at 15 or 16, you're able to apply. And you're also able to go on ride-alongs. I believe once you turn 18, really search out a department that you're interested. Either it can be a small one or a big one, and ask if you can go on a ride-along, and you guys can see what we do throughout the day. Any other questions? No? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa. Any questions? Yes. For law you're talking about? Primarily, it's just local law enforcement, if that's what we're referring to. Our attorney here deals with many law application, but primarily it's just laws in California. Sure. Crystal?
In regards to your question about statewide issues, because I work for the state of California, yes, we deal with a lot of statewide issues. One of them being housing. Affordable housing has been a big one. Because the assembly member used to be the chair for higher education. That's also one of the big ones. Like I said earlier, he started back in 2017, free community college. Then he went back in 2018 to get 2 years of free community college. And this year, unfortunately, it was just vetoed like 2 days ago. But the governor did not pass a free bachelor's degrees for community colleges. And that was one of the bills that we were really like hoping for. But these are a lot of the things that I deal with at the legislative level for the assembly member. But here at the district level, a lot of the things that we do, that our office does, so your assembly people, I don't know if you guys all, are locals, but I encourage you guys to look up who your assembly person is, your state senators. They help you with all issues related to state agencies. If you need help with Medi-Cal, Medicare, CalFresh, the DMV, unemployment. These are all things that we can assist you with. So including like CHP, if you have an issue with the California Highway Patrol, you can call our office and we can assist you in that in every regards. So yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Mesa. Well, if there's no further questions as we close, again, thank you for coming. But as you explore your actual career path, my suggestion to you is to talk to your friends, talk to people that are actually working in the field that you're interested in seeking. Go to school, even if it's just general ed to start off. I'm sure when you go to college, you will actually figure out your way. But don't be afraid to change your mind. As you can hear from a lot of people on the panel, they actually had one education in mind, and midway they actually shifted. So, and that happens along the way. So, but if you're interested in higher education, going to college, there is a lot of resources out there, financial aid, grants. As a matter of fact, the City of Vernon has a community fund where they offer scholarships to 12th graders who plan to attend either a trade school or a college. The applications actually opened up in January of 2025 through March 2025. As you can see, the display here, these are the individuals that received some scholarships this last round. But you have to be a 12th grader, but live within the surrounding communities of Vernon, which are Vernon, of course, Commerce, Huntington Park, Maywood, Bell, Boyle Heights, and East LA. So if you believe you may be eligible for that, I encourage you to apply. Also, another good thing to do is internships. As you heard today, there are many presenters that actually use that program to help them find their path. The City of Vernon does offer internship programs, and they actually pay you. It's between $19 to $21 per hour. And currently, it's our Public Works, Utilities, and IT department that are accepting applications for internships. So I encourage you to really look at that, because that does help you guide in your direction for a career. I don't know I believe they have to be 18 years of age. We don't have an HR person, but if I remember correctly. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Now that I've had time to sit and think for a little bit, you asked about advice for when you're in high school and when you're starting. When you're in high school and you're going into college, you're starting the beginning of a really long tunnel. You have to remember that and this is something my mom always told me. You have to remember that tunnel, there's always light at the end of that tunnel. School's gonna get hard. There's some classes that are gonna be harder than others. There's sometimes you do all-nighter studying. Sometimes it's not easy, but you just always got to remember, don't look back. You're not going that way. Just keep pushing forward and you're going to get there. Also, everyone's been talking about, don't be afraid to change your mind. And that's true. Don't be afraid to take introductory courses, change your mind, find out what you really like, because it's something, your career is something that could be for the rest of your life. And then also, once you are in college, try to get involved with like clubs and all kinds of stuff. I'm a civil engineer, so like for me, it was like the steel bridge competition, the concrete canoe, where we actually go and you compete and you ride in the canoe that you guys built out of concrete and that kind of stuff. So just want to leave you guys with that.
Well, this concludes our presentation, so we can have a round of applause for all our presenters today. And I believe we have a raffle. All right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Personal ticket? Ms. Mesa, you want to pull a ticket? Oh. Yeah. Okay, all right. Oh. And the winner is. Really? Oh. Boy. Okay, we have a winning ticket. Winner must be present, of course. It's 901-225. 901-225. Oh, well, congratulations. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you, everyone. We wish you the best in your career path.